Stop the presses. Iowa just shocked the SEC. The Hawkeyes take down ranked Vanderbilt in the ReliaQuest Bowl, snapping the losing streak against ranked opponents and ending the season with a statement win. Today we talk about how Kirk Ferentz and company pulled off the upset victory.
You are Locked On Hawkeyes, your daily podcast on the Iowa Hawkeyes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, welcome in. I'm Trent Condon, and this is the Locked On Hawkeyes podcast, your daily Iowa Hawkeye podcast here on the Locked On Network, now number one for sports podcasts. I've been covering the Hawkeyes for over 20 years on the radio here in the state of Iowa, including currently on the Iowa Sports Radio Network. We have stations all across the state: Sioux City, the Quad Cities, Iowa City, Cedar Rapids, and our flagship 106.3 KXNO in Des Moines. You can hear me each weekday from noon to 2 over there. Today's episode of Locked On Hawkeyes is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Well, today it is going to be a lot of football as we react to what we just saw. A little instant reaction for you here as Iowa gets the win over Vanderbilt 34-27. A little bit later on, we're going to talk about what we're going to look back upon this season, and as we get more distance, how this season is going to be remembered, ending in a 9-4 record. More big picture stories we're going to look at. Obviously, we're going to go through the game. We'll take a look at the stats and the numbers that came out of this one, but let's just react here with the feelings of what we have and getting this bowl victory against Vanderbilt, a team that did not have a bunch of opt-outs, a team short of their outstanding tight end, Eli Stowers, was all there. And though there will be many in the media that will try to make you believe that this game didn't matter, they were sad they didn't make the playoff, they really didn't care about this one, don't buy into that garbage. It's crap. It is not true. This team wanted to be there, and I would beat them. I would beat them because they're a better team. And though Vanderbilt was a top 15 ranked team, Vanderbilt at 10-2 coming out of the supposed rugged SEC thought they should have been a playoff team. We saw once again just how close this Iowa team was this season and how the Big Ten as a whole is a lot deeper conference than anybody at the four-letter network of ESPN wants to give them credit to. That's big picture stuff. We'll get to that later. Move that to the side. Early in the game, once again, we got to see something absolutely tremendous from Mark Gronowski. And as we watched him throughout the course of this season, the third down play, nothing there. Looks like he's going to get sacked, gets out of it, eludes a rusher, splits a couple of defenders, and then races for 44 yards. And we've seen this guy, this big, lumbering quarterback, just change so much of what we've seen in the running game for Iowa and what we can expect for a quarterback now going forward. That is something that I think when we talk about those big picture things, that's what Mark Gronowski has brought us. We go from last year and getting to see Brendan Sullivan at times and seeing with somebody with the dynamic running ability, what that can unleash and unlock with this Iowa offense. And now I believe it's a necessity. It is a must going forward for Iowa and the structure that they have with Kirk Ferentz at the helm, Tim Lester is the offensive coordinator, the way that they're built, it is a must to have a quarterback that is a plus runner, that is a good runner. Not a guy that can move around a little bit, and not a guy even like Nate Stanley. Really good on quarterback sneaks, but that was basically it. Yeah, he could step forward and run and pick up a first down on 3rd and 6 if nothing's there. We're talking about a runner. Having a runner. Now, the next level is finding that guy that is both a runner and an elite level passer. But today, Mark Gronowski did something that we haven't seen in almost 2 seasons of football. You have to go all the way back to game number 1 of the 2024 season, the last time that Iowa had a quarterback throw for 200 yards in the game. That's right. All the way back to Illinois State in 2024, the opener in that one, when Cade McNamara did it. That is the last time we've seen a quarterback throw for 200 yards in a game. How about, well, that was an FCS team. We got to go back then to 2023 against Rutgers, the last time that an Iowa quarterback did that against FBS competition. That's how long it's been. And Gronowski was pretty sharp. Overall, really solid. The throws, the touchdown throw, absolutely incredible. And the interception, obviously, was not his fault. So as Iowa races out to the 7-0 lead, they get the score, march right down the field. Gronowski's play on third down, a huge part of that. Moulton into the end zone. They're off and running. They get a stop, get the ball back. And it looked like after the big play by DJ Vonnahme, who you talk about a star being born. Oh, we'll get to that a little bit later on. You go from that aspect of things. You're down there, another big play, this time through the passing game. You're at the 4-yard line. And here's the other part. I know the play call, you got your more bruising back in Xavier Williams, who's in the slot. The play was wide open. The play design by Tim Lester was perfect. The play call was perfect. It was, a guy didn't execute. And you can say that Tim Lester shouldn't put his big running back in that spot. The play was there. It's a play that Xavier Williams, I'm sure, will say he needs to make. And I think he will make going forward. Now, I was, of course, hollering, just run the ball, as they were pounding him early on. But there were so many moments during the course of this football game where it felt like Iowa potentially could let it slip away. And maybe it's that scar tissue that us Hawkeye fans have dealt with over the last 4 or 5 years during this losing streak, certainly against ranked teams, where you see it slip away. I know Iowa historically had been so good working with the lead until they haven't been. And we look at the lead slip away and what happened against USC, maybe the biggest one. Obviously, the lead late against Oregon and not being able to get the stop. Last couple of years against Iowa State, I think are great examples as well, where Iowa has not played from ahead like they once did. And you knew Pavia and Vanderbilt was going to keep coming. You know, the squad was not going to quit, that they were going to continue to go out there, even if their fans say that they didn't really want to be there. Idiots. No. You knew Vandy was going to continue. They were going to continue to play, to fight. That's who the dude is. And they did. And they were taking shots. And they had us nervous. But Iowa found a way. They found a way. They made the plays. They got the ball back. And with it, it was a well-designed play call on what proved to be the winning play to get the first down on the short yardage. They run that quarterback sneak, got the tight end coming across. He's going to shove Gronowski in the back. They'll get the first down. They run it on the goal line. They run it 3rd, 4th, and 1 all throughout the course of the season. Looked like it was there. Nope. Boop. Little end, slip around, hand it to the running back, and get the first down and salt the victory away in that one. A lot to get into, a lot of angles, a lot of plays want to talk about, want to talk about the players, want to go deeper into Mark Gronowski. We got a ton here. We react to the Iowa victory as they get it done 34-27 over Vanderbilt. We got a whole lot more coming your way, including the MVP, Mark Gronowski of the ReliaQuest Bowl. That's next. It's Locked On Hawkeyes. Fridays always feel different during basketball season, and FanDuel is making them even better. Every Friday night before the games tip off, FanDuel gives fans a new way to kick off the weekend with NBA Happy Hour. NBA Happy Hour is your official pregame, a limited number time window where special offers drop right inside the FanDuel app before the action starts. Fridays from 6 to 7:30 Eastern, that's from 5 until 6:30 Central Time, have become appointment viewing with NBA Happy Hour. Opening the FanDuel app during Happy Hour always brings something new. There might be some boosts in there, some bonuses, some surprises. They got you covered with the NBA, and some of those boosts, they can be used a bunch of different ways. Absolutely amazing. And even if you're not an NBA person, they got you covered as well, with obviously the NFL coming down the stretch. College football going on, a huge game coming up in basketball. Both the Iowa women tomorrow as they face off against Nebraska, and then on Saturday for the men against UCLA as Big Ten play gets started. All there for you on the FanDuel app. Before tip-off, check the FanDuel app and see what's dropping during NBA Happy Hour every Friday from 6 to 7:30 Eastern. A little basketball, a little action, and a whole lot of Friday energy. That's NBA Happy Hour, only on FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NBA. Trent Condon back with you once again here on the Locked On Hawkeyes podcast, your daily Iowa Hawkeye podcast. And thanks for making Locked On Hawkeyes your first listen of the day. Let's start with the quarterback, Mark Gronowski. We've already talked about him quite a bit. The throw on the flea flicker, how beautiful was that? I talked about some of the passes to Vonnahme across the middle. Want to see more of that. I don't know how many times during the course of this season I whined, complained, just vented to you guys out there. Can we see a seam route? Can we see something in the middle of the field? Can we do something with these tight ends? And DJ Vonnahme, definitely the case. Back to Gronowski, that throw that he made to Vonnahme on the play, on the flea flicker play, the throw that he made on the sideline after they got the ball back at the 10-yard line after the illegal kick, and how crazy that was. Those are great throws. And those are throws that we just didn't see a whole lot during the course of the season. Gronowski, we see with health, the shoulder surgery that he sustained, the surgery that he had to have after he committed to Iowa. This dude then had the big injury against Indiana, and he was never completely right. And I don't know if he's physically close to that level. Regardless, we saw maybe what could have been. What could have been if we got a full season of full health of Mark Gronowski. And that, in a way, leaves that sour taste in your mouth for this season at 9-4. 4 losses by a combined 15 points because they were that close. And with just a little bit more health, what could have been? Here we are. And here we are talking about a team that gets it done, ends the losing streak, and Mark Gronowski a big part of that. Speaking of Gronowski, I love this number. He ties shoelace Denard Robinson for the most rushing touchdowns by a Big Ten quarterback in history of the Big Ten. I mean, been playing football a long time. Been a lot of guys that ran the ball a whole lot more back then than they do now. And Mark Gronowski getting to that rarefied air. How about another number that comes out of this game? Kirk Ferentz becoming the winningest bowl coach in Big Ten history, breaking a tie that he had with Joe Paterno. Good to see him for a myriad of reasons, jump ahead of Paterno, but getting that. How about getting a winning record in Tampa? We know Kirk Ferentz loves all bowl games. He says there's no such thing as a bad bowl game, though if you're on the sideline for that Pinstripe Bowl and the freezing temperatures against Boston College, a decade back, maybe you'd have some different ideas. That aside, he now has a winning record in Tampa, a place that has almost become synonymous with Iowa football. Kirk Ferentz, a guy that has done it at a level. And as we talked about different times this year, I think the criticism had become at times a bit unfair on Kirk and the record against the Big Ten, against ranked teams. Yes, they had a losing streak. But if you saw those games this year, you know just how close that they were. And I don't think that told the whole thing. That's taking a small narrative and not looking at things in a big picture. And certainly what we try to do here on Locked On Hawkeyes. A couple more things from this one. And we talked about Vonnahme. Let me take a sneak peek back of my notes, and we'll get into the actual numbers of things as we can pull them back up. Here we go. Oh, yeah. I did mention the illegal punt. I watch a lot of football. I'm sure everybody out there probably does as well. Do you remember seeing that? I don't. And when they said a 5-yard penalty, at first I just thought it was going to be a 5-yard penalty from where the kick went and where Weechin, I think it was kicked out of bounds. Regardless, yeah, it was out of bounds. I'm like, oh, that's kind of crappy, right? They don't have to re-kick. No. Iowa gets the ball at the 10, right to Vanderzee, boom, a touchdown on that one. So that was one of the wilder things that you're going to see definitely for this one. Here's a couple others. And a couple other things that certainly bear mentioning before we get into the numbers of the Iowa victory here. One more thing in Gronowski. And we talk about the throws, the running ability, tying a record in Big Ten for rushing touchdown, all great things. Great dude. Became a leader right away. You could see it was not that fake leadership, that faux leadership that maybe they had from a past quarterback that transferred in from Michigan. Guy that quit on his team. No, not like that. Like a real dude. Not fake, real. Mark Gronowski was real. And the stories of his brother, and as a former special needs teacher, it absolutely tugs at the heartstrings, and love those kind of stories. But that aside, there was a play. I was up 7-3. Should have been up 14-0. They're not. Okay. And backside blitz comes, and I think it was Lauk just missed on the guy out there, regardless of that. Ball comes out from behind. I go, surefire. Vandy's getting the ball. I mean, they fell right on it, right? And Mark Gronowski yanks that ball away as it's on the turf and it's laying there. And I don't know, what are there? 135 or so starting quarterbacks at the FBS level. How many of those dudes are going to sacrifice their throwing arm, their body as a quarterback in a bowl game that people, I know, called meaningless? How many of them are sticking their arm out and going to get that ball? How many of them are doing that? It shows you toughness, want, leadership, just all the intangibles that you can't measure. I'm going to love this dude and certainly going to miss Mark Gronowski. It was just for a year. As said earlier, would like to see a full season of Mark Gronowski with full health. We will not get that. But that play definitely bears mentioning. We will go back and we will rewatch this whole thing again. That's what we do here. Now, that's normally during the course of a regular season. We do that on Sunday night and have that for you on Monday for you in your inbox, but not going to be the case in this one. We will go back and watch it, though, and we'll kind of see scheduling-wise how we're going to do things. And we got a few extras for you as well right now on Locked On Hawkeyes. If you haven't already, I want you to go check out our new Everydayer Club. See if this is something for you. Check out what they can do, starting with ad-free audio feed on Locked On Hawkeyes. It's compatible with Apple, Spotify, all the major podcast apps that are out there. Ad-free, get through the show, move through quicker, and if that's something that interests you, we got you covered there. Plus, you can join us on our Everydayer Club. And what other aspect that I haven't talked about yet, but I think this is something that could be pretty cool for us. A couple of times during basketball season, I want to have a get-together, right? Like a Zoom type meeting that we can do, and we have some capabilities here. If you're part of our Everydayer Club, where we're going to watch the game together, and it doesn't matter if you're here in Des Moines, doesn't matter if you're in Iowa City, doesn't matter if you're in Minneapolis, Chicago, or anywhere in the world. We'll be able to watch the game together, converse, talk. We'll talk through some different things, take some questions, do that. Want to do that a couple of times during basketball for our Everydayer Club. So what you want to do is head to our website right now to get involved. It is lockedonhawkeyes.supercast.com. Lockedonhawkeyes.supercast.com is where you can go and see if the Everydayer Club maybe is something that will work out for you. When we come back on Locked On Hawkeyes, I want to talk about this big picture. I want to talk about where this squad is and how we're going to remember this season. Before that, though, final look at the numbers. Iowa finishes just shy of 400 yards in total offense, 379 yards of offense. We talked about going over 200 yards passing for the first time in a long time. I'm trying to do the math here on the fly. What is that? 25 games? 167 rush yards in the game. Iowa with 5 penalties. But if you listened to our preview episode yesterday, I mentioned the other side. And I told you guys, Vandy, they're going to woof, and they're going to talk, and they won't shut up. And that was certainly the case as they were talking all game long. They were trying to get in the heads. There were some protections of Pavia. Yes, absolutely. Some questionable calls as it pertained to protecting the Heisman runner-up. Last 5 penalties, high for certainly Iowa. 19 first downs in the game. 6 of 12 on third down. On the other side, this is another big aspect we talked about yesterday on the show. That's why you got to watch every day, and we are your everyday Iowa Hawkeye podcast. 6 of 12 on third down. The Vanderbilt defense not very good on third. And how about this? Vandy just 2 of 9 on third down in this one. Iowa 59 plays against 60 for Vanderbilt. They were right there across the board. Win time of possession with over 32 minutes of time of possession in the football game. 4 sacks. 3 of them came in the first half, or was it all 4? 3, I believe it was. 5 tackles for loss in the game. Individually, Gronowski, 16 of 22, 212 yards. That looks so good on the screen. 2 touchdowns and 1 interception. 73% completion percentage for Gronowski in this one. Kamari Moulton, well, of course, he didn't get to 100 yards because we know he's going to be somewhere between 70 and 95 yards, and he gets to 95 in this one, and a touchdown, the extra rushing touchdown, as we mentioned, for Gronowski, as he helps out Xavier Williams, 5 for 25 in the game. Receiving, DJ Vonnahme, dude, 7 catches, 146 yards and a touchdown, along of 51. He was all over the place, up the seam, making plays, and here we go. You got Vonnahme. We got to see a little bit of Thomas Meyer. Oh, by the way, Addison Estranga's coming back next year. And there's depth in that tight end room. tight end emerging back at Iowa. And we start to rub our hands together a little bit on that one. Reese Vanderzee, so good. Body control, ability to make contested catches. Now, speaking of health, let's get a full healthy season for 15 going into next year. Good to see Jacob Gill in his final Hawkeye game. He goes out with a couple of catches in this one. Dayton Howard also with the catch. One from Ortworth on a little swing out at the tight end spot. Also, I believe with another year of eligibility in that one. So those are some of the numbers for you offensively. Let's take a look also here at the defensive numbers for Iowa. TJ Hall led the way with 8 tackles, also 2 pass breakups in that. Had a couple of dropped interceptions. Yeah, that was another component we didn't talk about across the course of the game. Number of dropped interceptions for Iowa. This thing could have been even uglier than that. Also, 8 tackles for Jaden Montgomery. Thought he played pretty well overall. Xavier Wampa was 7. Also 7 for Watson, the freshman who got the start. No Deshaun Lee out there, so it was Watson that got the call. All right. Good learning experience. Saw that those wide receivers get behind him a couple of times, but I know they're really excited, and it sounded like he was a guy that emerged. Karson Sharar, especially early when he was spying Pavia, the 2 sacks that he had, just tremendous, and not just sacked him, he popped him a couple of times. Lutmer finishes with 3 tackles, Entringer with 4. A couple other names to mention. Oh, a sack and a half for Herkett, and my guy, Brian Allen, he gets a half sack as he teamed up with Herkett on one of those sacks in the game. Defensively, Aaron Graves just 1 tackle, but he was impactful. They got it done. Didn't even talk about Drew Stevens. Both those field goals they're really important, didn't they? At the time that he knocked in, both the one in the third quarter and then, of course, the one in the fourth quarter that gave them a 10-point lead at the time with 4:13 to go. 47 and 44 yards for both of them. Looked outstanding. Weechin made a couple of plays on the punt return. And in fact, the long punt return that he had, the 21-yarder, did it look like if he bounced that out to the right as you were watching it on TV, he could have gone? Looked like there might have been a seam there. Now, hard to tell, obviously, on television what was out there overall, but Weechin doing his thing. Love this team. Enjoyed this team so much, and that's something that's different. We'll talk about that when we come back. How we'll remember this team, it's been enjoyable. It's felt different than some of the teams we've seen, even the teams that even won more games than this one. How will we remember the 2025 Iowa Hawkeyes? That's next. Locked On Hawkeyes. There's nothing like college football season as it winds down here. Tailgates, packed stadiums, and being right there in the middle of it. The energy, the band, the moments you're going to remember forever. But actually getting tickets, that part used to be frustrating with long queues, logins, and prices jumping at checkout. That's why Game Time gives the advantage back to fans. It's the easiest way to unlock amazing college tickets and experiences in just a few taps. Well, we know the football season is over for the Hawkeyes, but basketball, it is not, and it's going to ramp up in a big-time way. Open up the Game Time app. You can find great deals for the men's matchup against UCLA. Same thing for the women against Nebraska. There are so many opportunities for you to get involved with the Hawkeyes here as we make our way through the winter sports season, and the app is what you want. Incredibly easy to use. You can see exactly where you're going to be sitting in Carver with your view from the seat that they have there on the Game Time app, and no surprise fees at checkout. My absolute favorite thing about the Game Time app. Take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's code LOCKEDONCollege, LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. We continue on Locked On Hawkeyes podcast as an instant reaction after Iowa's 34-27 victory over Vanderbilt. The losing streak against ranked teams is over. Iowa at 9-4, likely to be ranked probably inside the top 20 of the final poll of the regular season. Another great finish for Kirk Ferentz. Speaking of 9-win seasons, it's a bit of a rarity. Chet Leistikow in his column after this one went final had something I thought pretty interesting overall. I'm talking about the 9-4 records that matches 2008 and 2018. We know what happened after 2008. We also look at the point differential. He has that in the article. Basically, looking through this, and you look at the strength of schedule that they had this year, showing how good this Iowa team was. Yes, we have brought this up a lot of different times. I go back to 2008. And every day, as you've heard me make this point before, I think the reason that the 2008 team is still so revered with what some people would consider a ho-hum 9-4 season. Two reasons. A, what they were able to do in a big upset win against Penn State. That game, with all the green in the stands, it reverberated. It felt different. It felt special in what it meant in the grand scheme of things, not just for Iowa football, but also as it pertains to the national perspective. And I think if Iowa would have had a win like that against Oregon, or maybe even bigger against Indiana, and gave the Hoosiers their only loss to this point, probably would feel a little bit different. And I think it'd be easier to equate those. But here's the other reason. I think that maybe the most important reason that 2008 is revered is because of what happened in 2009. They get off to the 9-0 start. They're ranked. They're on the Sports Illustrated cover. It's just, they had all those extra elements that were there. And that's what made 2008 beloved, because of what happened in 2009. Going to the Orange Bowl, an Orange Bowl victory, being a whisker away for winning a Big Ten championship, even with the injury to your quarterback and Ricky Stanzi in the Northwestern game. Like there was so much, but that 2018 got there. And it's not to say that I think that next year's Iowa team is going to start 9-0 and going to be ranked third in the country, because I don't. However, if it leads to a special year, if they build on this and losing 27 seniors, it's going to be difficult to do that. But if this is a step in the process, and maybe not even next year, but within, say, the next couple of years, if that happens, then this team is going to be even more revered. I said it earlier. I just love watching this team. And I know the offense, the passing offense, didn't get to the level that I certainly expected them this year. There are reasons for that. Gronowski's injuries, probably the biggest. There's definite reasons, though, that it played out in that fashion. But they were enjoyable. And though the passing game wasn't elite, there just seemed to be more there. There were more opportunities. It didn't feel like so many times in different points in the last 5 years where, all right, how are they going to grind out an ugly victory? They won, but it wasn't entertaining. And it is still entertainment. I mean, that's what this is. The wins are great. And anybody that has listened to me for any period of time knows I am not going to talk down to victories. But this year, there was joy. And some of that joy had been sapped away at different moments. The joy of, how are they going to do this again? Oh, they did, but okay. The enjoyment was definitely back in a big-time level. I think we're going to remember this team very fondly. We're going to have those conversations that I'm sure you're sitting on a bar stool with a buddy. You're at the lake, around the fire, at the campsite afterwards. You have these conversations. Maybe it's a family member. It's a big Hawkeye fan. Oh, yeah, that year. What would have happened if Ricky Stanzi didn't get hurt that year? What would have happened if Brad Bagg's hand hadn't been wrapped a little too tightly, maybe, against Iowa State? What would have happened in that game against UCLA in the 1986 Rose Bowl after the 85 season if there weren't some guys with some fur coats? We'll play that game. And this will be another one of those teams that we'll talk about. What if Dr. Tom didn't go four corners for 4 minutes against UNLV? Yeah, that one still sticks, I think, the most with me. This team will have that. And it will be, what if Gronowski doesn't get injured against Indiana? What if Hank Brown completes a screen pass on third down against the Hoosiers? What if TJ Hall's left arm goes 2 inches higher and that ball's deflected away? What if a myriad of different things against USC don't happen? What if? That's how this is going to be remembered. And as Hawkeye fans, we all have those. And it doesn't matter the sport, football obviously being the biggest, but that's how I'm going to remember this team. A team that was enjoyable, a team that was fun, and a team that's going to leave us, what if? 9-4 is pretty good. Ending the streaks, 200 yards passing, wins against ranked teams. We move on from that, and now we start to move forward, because here's the thing. On Friday, the transfer portal opens. Iowa feels like they're ready. This is going to be different than anything we've seen before in the transfer portal era. We got you covered here on Locked On Hawkeyes. In the past, we had a couple of portal windows. In the past, you know what? Maybe I am going to stick around. Go through spring practice and see if I can find a spot on my team. It's not the case anymore. You have to make a decision now. Unless you're a graduate transfer, you have to make that decision now. I think there'll be some surprises. There'll be some names you maybe didn't anticipate are going to be there. That is what is the reality. This is a lot of fun. Really enjoyed this game. Really enjoyed this season. Hope everybody out there enjoyed it. If you are watching us on YouTube, hit subscribe. I know a lot of new people out there after our Rapid Reaction podcast are out there. Hit the subscribe button. That lets you know when we have you covered on the daily aspect of Locked On Hawkeyes. If you're on the podcast side, listening audio-wise, 5-star reviews, all that helps us get in front of more Hawkeye fans. And don't forget, we do have the Everydayer Club here for you. Go check it out on the website. It is lockedonhawkeyes.supercast.com. Find out how you can get ad-free audio for Locked On Hawkeyes. It'll jump with you with Apple, Spotify, whatever app that you use. And you can also join us on our Everydayer Club Discord server. A lot of group chat happening there, and staying away from some of the negativity we see at other places in social media. Really fun. LockedOnHawkeyes.supercast.com. Tomorrow, New Year's Day, we'll be back. We got more. We got hoops to talk about as well, plus a whole lot more football. Boy, this was a fun one. Enjoyed it. We'll talk to you again tomorrow. Until then, go Hawks.